As someone who was raised in a small storefront church on the south side of Chicago, may my grandfather, the Reverend James E. Eccles, who's now an ancestor, rest in peace and power. Whenever I felt burdened, my grandfather would sing a song we very often sang in church: "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Joy has not come. Joy has not come because my heart is heavy with grief. It grieves for the 1,200 Israeli civilians who were heinously murdered by Hamas on October 7th. It grieves for the 240 hostages still held by Hamas and their families. And it grieves for the over 11,000 Palestinian civilians killed by the Israeli military in the weeks since, nearly half of whom are children. Joy has not come in the morning because the loss of life we have seen in a mere 5 weeks is overwhelming, devastating, incomprehensible. Entire generations of Palestinian families erased entirely. Again, vengeance is not a foreign policy doctrine.
Yes.
Right.
Hospitals bombed, electricity shut off, food, fuel, and medicine dwindling, clean drinking water essentially non-existent. I stood at this podium 3 weeks ago to mourn the 1,100 Palestinian children killed by Israeli bombs. Today, that number is nearly 5 times higher. Children. I am haunted by the words and the images of the Palestinian children in Gaza who convened their own press conference in English so that you would not misunderstand their desperate appeals to live. They said, "We want to live. We want peace." It has been children in this society, and what a damning commentary that our children are always having to make appeals for their lives, from March for Our Lives, to the children of Tigray, to the children of Soweto, to the children of Gaza, pleading for mercy and to live. There is no justification for the collective punishment of the Palestinian people, from their elders to their babies. As people of faith, we believe that we are all God's children, Palestinian, Israeli, Americans alike. Regardless of our religion or nation of birth, we are one human family, and we have a moral obligation to be our brothers and our sisters' keeper, a collective righteous mandate to save lives. And the mandate is clear. Ceasefire now. We are not alone, and we are not afraid. Millions across the globe have echoed our calls for an end to the bloodshed, from the United Nations and the Pope to the President of France and healthcare workers in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which I represent. This is a movement that is pro-peace, pro-faith, and pro-humanity. And this movement is growing every day. Last month, I sat with the families of hostages who spoke of deep love and grief, and they made it clear that they didn't want vengeance. They just want their loved ones safely home. Ceasefire now. Every action taken by policymakers in this moment should be in pursuit of peace, not an escalation of violence and bloodshed. The United States cannot allow the Israeli government to commit war crimes, to violate international law, and to operate with callous disregard for human life. Children are dying, families are crying out for survival, and our shared humanity is in danger. A ceasefire is the mandate, and we must respond accordingly.
Yes.